Okay, so iodine. What do we know about iodine before we even start? It's not a transition metal, right? So it's not going to have multiple charges. And this is the toughest thing to remember when you're doing this part of the test is if it's a transition metal, yeah, you have to figure out all the charges and stuff. But if it's not a transition metal, you just use the regular rules and you know it's charged because we memorized it. And then also, now that we're looking at electron configuration, it just makes sense that it's the best one because it's usually going to be isoelectronic to something, all right? So let's check this out. Iodine, what noble gas are we going to use? Krypton again? Okay, krypton, and then what? 5s2, 4d10, 5p5. Okay, and then let's see. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one I drew was that down arrow there. Okay, so for this, what's the best possible charge? -1. -1, because if you do -1, that means you're adding an electron, right? When you add one electron, where do you add it? To here, and now, what does this look like? Yeah, the next noble gas, right? Now it's isoelectronic to the next one. If you're like, well, how did you get that -1? Remember on the periodic table, the rows, right? So this was +1, +2. Transition metals, we don't know. But then over here, it's +3, +4, +5. I'm sorry, plus or -4, -3, -2, -1, and then 0. So we're in the -1 column, all right? And why did we memorize that? Because just by adding one electron here, now it's completely filled. So that was why we memorized it in the first place. So for these ones, you have to remember, all right, it's a non-metal, it's -1, that's the only option for it, okay? And I know bless you, I know you're gonna get in the habit of just kind of like thinking transition metals, it's gotta be plus something, but just like maybe when we did the nomenclature test, you might want to like look at these before you start the test and be like, okay, that's a non-metal. All right, and then look at what group it is in the periodic table and be like, okay, it's -1 to remind you when you actually do it that it's -1, it's not +7. You know, you're not going to lose all the valence electrons or something like that. Okay? All right. Okay, so -1, -1, and the reason is it's isoelectronic to what? And that's it. All right, isoelectronic xenon. Best answer. Any questions?